So yesterday we discussed the potential Kirk Cousins trade to the 49ers after the rumors came out, or the speculation was born out of the radio interview with Mike Florio in San Francisco yesterday. And I thought we would piggyback off of that, having, already numerous discussions about what to do with Kirk Cousins and his ridiculous contract going forward. There's some other players on this roster that we do have to make decisions about. And I think the biggest one, the most critical one, especially for the current regime, is going to be Danielle Hunter. And this is a difficult conversation that I think a lot of people really aren't prepared. I think we need to prepare ourselves for the reality that could happen, that Danielle Hunter is no longer a member of this team when the new season starts in September. I just don't. I don't want to be. I don't want anybody to be caught off guard, right? Because it is absolutely realistic that the Vikings look at the current situation and decide we are better off trading this guy for as many assets as we can get to help our team rebuild and get another run to the Super Bowl while the window is still quote unquote open. I think the front office believes that it's still open. I don't think we, the fans, believe that it is open as much. So here's my take on this. And then, of course, I want you guys to leave your opinions in the comments below. As always, let me know what side of the fence you're on. Do you want to save, do you want to keep Danielle Hunter, or do you want to trade him? And if you do want to trade him, what would you trade him for? So here's my opinion, right? So he missed all of this year with the neck injury, and neck injuries are scary. This isn't, your run of the mill torn ACL or high ankle sprain or something like that. Neck injuries are scary. They add an extra level of tension because, it's one of those injuries that you don't, you look at a guy like Ryan Shazier from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's like worst case scenario, one step away from just never walking again. So he has the neck surgery. He gets a second opinion. He's flying to New York to see other doctors. That's how you kind of get the little inkling that it's serious. And he misses the entire season. And then during the season, whether or not by accident or by intent, his camp comes out with reported by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network that he desires to be the highest paid defensive end in the league. He's looking for Joey Bosa money post neck surgery. And that enters you into a realm of concern because, as we've already established, neck injuries, serious, scary, hesitant to pay players significant amount of money, to guaranteed money especially, for a guy coming off of neck surgery. So that puts the Vikings into a little bit of a pickle, right? Because on one hand, 25-year-old insanely good edge rusher at a position that is very, very necessary to succeed in this league. You have to generate pressure. You have to get to the quarterback. You have to do it. And Danielle Hunter is one of the best. 14 and a half sacks last year. The entire defensive line, or maybe even the entire defense, I forget what the statistic is, 11 and a half sacks this year. That shows you how bad he was missed. The rest of the defensive line is garbage, right? Jaleel Johnson, Shamar Stephen. I don't foresee anybody, Odenabo or Jalen Holmes or DJ Wanham, who started at the other edge rusher position, being viable when Danielle Hunter comes back. Those are stopgap guys. The jury's out on DJ Wanham, but I think he has a long way to go. So, Danielle Hunter is a critical piece, critical asset, but at the same time, is the front office willing to risk a lot of money, a lot of guaranteed money, a lot of salary cap space in a player who could potentially re-injure himself, or whatever it may be, that he's no longer available for. Maybe he loses another season. Maybe he has to retire altogether. There's a ton of possibilities. Now, I know, the counter argument to that is, of course, you could get injured on any play, and it could always be serious. Yes, absolutely. Nobody saw Alex Smith's injury coming from a mile away. That was just horrific, horrendous, freak accident. But at this time, there's an established history of it. We know about the neck injury. We don't know. I don't really think we know how serious it is, but, he looks like he'll probably be ready for next season. But that leaves them with a choice. Do you take that risk and sign him to a large amount of money, already strapped for cash, having one of the worst salary cap situations in the NFL? Or do you trade him before the draft for a first round pick? And, of course, more picks. There will be additional compensation, but I think a first round pick is fair demand. And I think there's a lot of teams around the league that would definitely look at Danielle Hunter and be like, yeah, we're willing to take this risk. Here's a first round pick. Here's some other things. Thanks for the sack and pressure production out of this kid who is very young and going to be a star in this league for years to come. You're too generous. So, I mean, you could look at teams like the Tennessee Titans who desperately need somebody opposite of Harold Landry. Jadeveon Clowney experiment didn't work out. They really need to get back to being able to produce a very, tenacious pass rush for that defense to remain viable. Seattle Seahawks could definitely use an edge rusher. They have been using Jamal freaking Adams as their primary edge rusher at points during the season. Those are two teams who were picking later in the first round, who I think would be more than willing to part ways with their first round pick. And of course, other compensation would have to be negotiated as well. Higher up in the board, the draft board, maybe the New York Giants. I don't know how much Dave Gettleman is with, he doesn't like to trade up or down during the draft at all. Maybe that's a potential spot. I mean, you never know. So, but those are the options, right? We have bring back Danielle Hunter, give him his contract, or trade him and use him as leverage to obtain more draft capital to help fix this defense. Because let's face it, we have a mass exodus of cap casualties coming up. Kyle Rudolph, Anthony Harris is going to be gone. Riley Reef will probably be not retained. He's going to go make get a bigger payday somewhere else. And what would you do if you're the front office general manager? If you're Rick Spielman, if you're in his shoes right now, what do you want to do with this guy? Do you want to bring him back and figure out a way to feng shui the salary cap so that he's the highest paid defensive end in the league right after next surgery before he takes another snap in the NFL? Or do you want to trade him before the draft and get some assets and just hope that it doesn't come back to bite you in the ass? So let me know, of course, in the comments below what you would do. This is something that we'll definitely revisit as it gets closer to the draft, and I will see you in the next one.